Hey there, my name is Michael Ferrari of Cinema to Meep and formerly of the Retro Movie Love podcast. Today, I am joining you on a video on YouTube to discuss my favorite Blu-rays of 2023. So when I was doing the Retro Movie Love podcast, I would do a yearly episode, usually around January, dedicated towards all the Blu-rays that came the year before. Since I'm clearly a collector of movies and I love movies on physical media, I celebrate it and have been celebrating physical media for many, many years. I've been collecting since the late 80s. Yes, I was a teenager. I was 13 when I started collecting VHS tapes in 1988. And here we are, 35 going on 36 years later, and I'm still collecting movies. Of course, now on Blu-ray and 4K. I still collect VHS tapes. I still collect DVDs if there are no other formats available for these items. That's usually how I approach it. And of course, 2023, there were a lot of Blu-rays and 4Ks that came out that I liked a lot. So I have a drink in hand, as I usually do when I podcasted. I just want to drink some. It's like it's a kind of creamy white Russian, almost rummy concoction. No Kahlua. It's a little bit of a concoction I whipped up. It's not my usual kind of drink. I'm a Scotch person, but I'm mixing it up for 2024, trying new things, a new drink. It's yummy. So I'm gonna drink some of that during the show. So we're just going to go right in and talk about all the Blu-rays that I wanted to highlight that I really liked that came out in 2023. And then towards the end, we'll have like a top, I guess, 20 of some of my favorites that came out. I have a lot. There's a lot. So we'll just blow through a lot of these. Okay, bear with me. All right, so I'm just gonna go random with this. I feel like that's the only way to do it. I'm not gonna break it up into labels and genres and all that stuff. I like all different kinds of movies. There are a lot of labels that put out different kinds of movies. In 2023, certainly Kino Lorber, who I'm going to talk about first, put out a lot of these titles and all kinds of movies, since I like all different kinds of genres of films. So let's go right into it. And what I grabbed first from all these stacks on the side over here, I grabbed a Sidney Pollack film, 3 Days with the Condor, which came out, of course, on 4K from Kino Lorber, had previously been available on Blu-ray, but now here with a nice cleaned up transfer. Um, it has commentaries. It has a documentary from 2004 on Sidney Pollack and more about and a featurette on the Condor. Great film, of course, with Robert Redford, Faye Dunaway, Max von Sydow, Cliff Robertson. Um, Always been a fan of these kind of paranoia spy slash thrillers of the 70s, and this is one of the better ones. Glad it came out on 4K. Okay, we're just gonna go through the stack. So every once in a while I'll throw in a newer movie that I like. There's not many 2023 releases that I have on Blu-ray in my collection. There's still a few that came out towards the end of the year that still haven't been released on Blu-ray or 4K. So I'm just gonna pop in every there'll probably be a couple, two or three in here or more. But the first one I just grabbed was Evil Dead Rise, which I really liked. This is on Warner, releases 4K. It also has a Blu-ray in it. So new to the franchise, Evil Dead franchise is a sequel that kind of spins off the Evil Dead story and takes it to an apartment building. And those of you who've listened to my podcast, the Retro Movie Lab podcast, I've done episodes on apartment horror. I am a big fan of apartments in movies and certainly apartment horror. So I was very excited to check this out. It didn't disappoint. I was really entertained by it. Now, I'm sure it divides Evil Dead fans who are looking for a more Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell approach to the story, but I enjoyed what they cooked up in this one. It was a nice surprise. Criterion, a good amount of Criterion titles here. I grabbed first La Bamba on Blu-ray for the first time in the US. Oh, actually, it might not be. It might be the second time, but it has this kind of retro design, of course, emulating those that artwork and those posters, the time period, and it looks great. It has a lot of good features. I'm a big fan of La Bamba when it came out in 1987. It struck a chord with people back then. This musical biofilm. Not a big bio movie fan, but I think this is a really good one and just really well done by all involved. Great Criterion Blu-ray. MVD has been putting stuff out, some upgrades, some 4Ks. Here I grabbed Swamp Thing. Yes, that's the Wes Craven adaptation of the comic book come to life. Adrian Barbeau. This one has a lot of special features. It has, if you open this up, it's got a poster, which I like about the MVD titles. They do posters, these little mini posters of the artwork. And so it's fun. What's cool about this particular artwork is it's a take on, um, so they like to do those retro looking uh, artworks. And of course, this one's a take on, like, I guess, like this laser vision, that format. And they were doing VHS kind of covers, and this is like a laser vision cover, which is kind of cool. I remember those laser vision covers. It was a nice little tribute to that. I'm a fan of that movie, of course. Two movies by, or actually three movies by Peter Greenaway came out on Zeitgeist Films, distributed through Kino Lorber. So Peter Greenaway is a great filmmaker, a true artist, and these movies are no exceptions. And The Draftman's Contract is pretty great. And I'm not as familiar with The Falls, but I have seen a Z and Two Knots, so I'm eager to check out this double feature. Okay. Vestron. The Vestron label didn't put out a lot of movies in the past year. But they did put out this 80s comedy horror title, My Best Friend is a Vampire. Robert Sean Leonard and Cheryl Pollack, and a good cast. David Warner has commentary, it has interviews, theatrical trailer. It has quite a few interviews on it, so it's a pretty good disc, good roundup of features. Now, what's great about the Vestron labels, having Vestron, of course, back in some form, but also like they're pretty good price point, so these are fairly cheap to get. I don't like that they don't include the original artworks. That always kind of bothers me. It's a pet peeve of mine. I love it. I love the original artwork of any movie. I mean, some of course are not great, but it's nice to see what they originally intended it to look like or marketed as. And so, of course, the modern approach now is to create a new artwork to sell it a different way. I don't know. I'm used to, like, so many years with these movies, so I'm used to the way a movie originally looked at the artwork. And I remember it was the locker, the him in the locker thing, which was an okay artwork, but memorable in its own way. This new one is not bad. It just it kind of makes it maybe a little bit more comic booky, which the movie really isn't. It's a kind of a fun comic horror take teen movie, really. So I Married an Axe Murderer from Sony, put out a 4K. Big fan of this comedy. So it's 30th anniversary last year, and of course I grabbed the 4K because I'm a big fan. It makes me laugh. I watch it with my kids. They love it too. 4K, The Mist. So, it's a four discer. It's got a lot of stuff in it. It's a black and white version. Frank Darabont's The Mist. Interesting one for me. I slept on this movie for a really long time. I don't know why. I'm a big Stephen King fan. Whoops, the disc popped out, which is always dangerous for some of these releases. Okay. It's in now. And I slept on it for some reason. I had an expectation of it, and I was wrong. It far exceeded my expectations of this movie. I loved it. Of course, it has a crazy ending that a lot of people talk about, but I think it's a great movie, and glad it's on 4K. It looks great. John Cassavetes' Gloria on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. Not much added here. It just says trailers, but it has a nice slip. It has the original art. Um, and so I can't complain. I'm a fan of this movie. I'm a fan of Jenna Rollins as an actress. So not original art. And this is where I get the pet peeve is Daryl on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. They're one of their nice deluxe jobs, right? These it's very big. I can't even open it. Um, there we go. It's got a magnetic thing. It has the blue DVD artwork, which is strange, right? But it doesn't have the original poster art or and VHS art, which was him watching like the Jetsons on a TV, a little TV screen, a little computer monitor. It's fine. I have the poster, so which is great. But so yeah, this doesn't have that, but it has a lot of features. It's Daryl. I'm a big fan of Daryl. I love those 80s sci-fi fantasy movies for kids. They don't make them like that anymore for kids these days. It's a special time for these kinds of films, and I was lucky to grow up and be a kid while watching these movies coming out at the age of these kids. Which is, you know, pretty special for me. And I'm a fan. Terror 10 Killer from Vinegar Syndrome. It's a great cover art. I mean, it's not original art, but this is actually pretty cool. And here's the original art on the inside. It's great. It's got a lot of features on it. I'm not gonna rattle off special features on this because it's just too many movies to go through, but it has a lot. And it looks great. And it's Terror Killer, which is a notorious bad slasher movie, but I like it a lot. It's a regional horror movie, and it has that charm about it. Criterion put out Mean Streets, and of course, Mean Streets is a great film, and its 50th anniversary. It's appropriate to finally put out Mean Streets on Blu-ray. All right, now we have Face Off. Will you face off with Face Off? Now I love Face Off. Kino Lorber put out this deluxe edition. Looks great. It's 4K. I'm a fan of Face Off. I know you are too. Private Parts, not the Howard Stern movie, but the Paul Bartel movie from the early 70s. I'm a big fan of Paul Bartel as a filmmaker, and Eating Raoul, of course, is famous for. I'm a big fan of scenes from A Class Struggle in Beverly Hills, and it's so great to have his early film, Private Parts, put on a Blu-ray with a good amount of special features on it too. So, yay! Um, all right. Existenz is out on Blu-ray, 4K, and Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome. Deluxe thing. Doesn't have the original art. Has a booklet. Let's see if I can open it. Well, it's got all the same, pretty much the same art and all these variations of it. It looks cool. It's got good amount of special features. Um, I'm a fan of Existenz. I think it's a great movie. And so I'm happy that it's available now on 4K. And I can't get it back in this thing. Here we go. There we go. Existenz. Oopsie, hopefully it didn't break. 2 Days in the Valley from Kino Lorber. Um, Studio Classics. It's got some special features on it. Fret not, the original artwork is there, but I like the new artwork too. Imagining of it. It highlights Charlize Theron, which is a good thing for this movie. James Spader is creepy in it, which he's good at. Oh boy. Salvation, the Beth B film from the 80s. I was surprised to see this coming out on Blu-ray, which is great. Kino Lorber put it out. It's got interviews with Beth B. It's got a Q&A. It's got a music video she did, a trailer. I like this one. It's an obscure one. It only had a VHS release, so now it's on Blu-ray. Okay, The Pack, the horror movie The Pack with Robert Clouse directed it, which is great. Yeah, I like The Pack a lot. It's you know, killer dog movies, killer animal movies are always great. Joe Don Baker, of course, is always great. So check it out. The Pack. And it's got a good commentary with Lee Gambin, who's really good at this stuff. Um Night of the Demons. Three Night of the Demons movies came out. Well, the first one came out in 4K because I had already previously released it on Blu-ray and I upgraded to 4K. So new features on it. It's got a lot of stuff on it. It's Night of Demons, scary. Night of the Demons 2, which I'm a big fan of actually. It's great. It's a lot of fun. And then Night of the Demons 3 making a debut. Not a good movie, but I'm a Night of the Demons completist. So here it is. All right. The classic My Bloody Valentine slasher movie, Scream Factory. So yeah, Scream Factory put out the Night of the Demons movies, by the way. Scream Factory also put out The Pack and My Bloody Valentine. So pretty decent run there for Scream Factory. Um, My Bloody Valentine upgraded to 4K. That's pretty much it. Just an upgrade to 4K, but it's packed with all the other features that was on the original releases. So it's great to have that 4K. I'm a big fan, of course. Vinegar Syndrome put out through one of their partner labels. I think it's the Film Desk. This little dramatic thriller, Vengeance is Mine, with Brooke Adams, kind of obscurity. I haven't watched yet, to be honest, but I will soon. I'm gonna put it on my high on my to watch pile now. Been meaning to. I like Brooke Adams a lot, so that goes on that pile then. All right. Criterion put out Chilly Scenes of Winter. Previously available on Blu-ray through Twilight Time, but Criterion put out their version of it, and of course it has nice extra features on it and a documentary and behind the scenes and interviews. And I'm a big fan of Joe Micklin Silver as a filmmaker. And certainly Chilly Scenes of Winter is a great movie, memorable film, and I like it a lot. It's got a booklet. So there you go. Criterion again. Hollywood Shuffle on Blu-ray. Looks great. Still got a little piece of plastic on the end. Okay. Um, so yeah, I'm a fan of this movie, have been for a long time since it came out in 1987. Robert Townsend's landmark movie, spoof, comedy, satire, really. And yeah, it's got so many memorable scenes in it and vignettes, and it's a lot of fun. I love it. Okay. Vinegar Syndrome put out earlier in the year, put out From Beyond. It's crazy. It's even hard to doesn't even show up very well. Crazy dig looking thing. This thing. But of course, the original art is there, which is very memorable to me. I'm a big fan of From Beyond, and of course, Stuart Gordon's films, and um, the one, two, three discs. All the From Beyond you can have and want. Barbara Crampton and all its glory. It's a great one. I really like it a lot. Megan came out. That was a new movie for 2023. Came out like the beginning of 2023. Of course, Blu-ray. I think there's been a 4K since this Blu-ray. Maybe if I catch the 4K on sale, upgrade from that. But for now, I have the the Blu-ray with the unrated and theatrical versions and some, behind the scenes stuff, press kit, EPK stuff. But it's Megan, which I was had a lot of fun with. It's one of my favorites somehow of the year. Just thought it was just a lot of fun and just a lot of joy. And a hit. They're making Megan too. Okay. Um, so yeah, Megan was Universal, right? Because that was Blumhouse. The Universal puts out their stuff. Kino Lorber Studio Classics. Kino Lorber put out these two 80s comedies. Susan Seidelman, um, I'm a big fan of as a filmmaker, Just We're Seeking Susan. This is her follow-up to that. And of course, the teen comedy classic Secret Admirer. I'm a big fan of both of these movies. I think they're great, and I think they hold up really well. And I'm so happy that Kino Lorber decided to put them out in these kind of, deluxe-ish editions with nice art, the artwork, the original artworks, as you could tell, slip covers, and some more special features on them. So I'll just hold up to the camera so you can look at it. But I am a fan, of course, of these movies and have been since they came out in 1985 for Secret Admirer and 1987 for Making Mr. Right. And so they've been with me a long time and I treasure them. Vinegar Syndrome had a couple of horror movies. I'll just do one by one because there's three of them right here. Um, as they do, put out a horror. If they put out a horror movie, they put a lot of horror movies. Mother's Day, they upgraded to 4K, which is great. It's Mother's Day. It's got the original art there. It's a very memorable New Jersey horror movie. So I only had a DVD of that before this, so I just really went from DVD to 4K, which is pretty crazy. Um, need more drink. Mm-mm. Tasty. If you need the recipe, I will send it to you. Send me a message or comment. Fatal Games. Fatal Games. Taking it all the way. Slasher, 80 slasher. It's fun, it's silly, it's fun and silly. It's everything you want in a cheap 80s slasher about Olympic hopefuls and you know lots of blood, killer doing some bad things. There's a twist, as there are in those movies. The Black Room is a different vibe from Vinegar Syndrome. It's a creepy LA, almost vampire-ish story. Cool art. So hold up the artwork. The back, there's a lot of special features on that. I was always creeped out by this movie. It's really weird. Like what's going on in this artwork, I don't know, but it's creepy. Love it. They got the VHS artwork on there. It's perfect. Beautiful. The new artwork, a lot of color. I like the drabness of the original artwork. Something about the weird 80s-ness, 80s did not mean all these pinks and all the colors you see in those artworks. The interpretation of 80s is always like neon and pink, but a lot of it was like this, like just looked like beige and orange and reds and browns and that's what I remember the 80s being like. Um Fatal Games, I didn't hold up the back of it, but here's the special features, a lot of stuff on there for you to dig into, to stab people with. Yeah, like this artwork. This Like the original artwork there, but then this new one makes it seem much more dynamic than it actually is. Like it looks like a modern slasher, right? So this water, it's like a pool. It's like not as, that movie is not, it's a low budge, so it's not like that, but it's someone's interpretation of it. Um, Prey was a new movie. Of course, in the Predator world, Prey, it's like a prequel. When, it's hard. It's even hard. It's like the Predator story, but um, just, of course, when indigenous people, this woman rises up as a hero against the Predator. It was pretty surprising. It was released to Hulu because I guess Disney decided that they didn't want to put it out theatrically. They just wanted to release it to Hulu. And I'm like, wow, watching this movie, I'm like, this is a very cinematic movie. This would look great in theaters. And so I was kind of surprised that they didn't release it theatrically, but it's on 4K. Thankfully, they put it out on physical media because that doesn't happen a lot with these Fox and Hulu titles. They just kind of forget about them or just keep them on a streaming platform like Hulu. But thankfully, got a 4K. And it has extra features, which actually were pretty good. I remember I watched it, went through all the extra features on it. It's got a fun commentary. It's got a Comanche audio track. It's got all these behind the scenes things and deleted scenes. So pretty stacked release for a new movie, which is nice. Funny, like I got this last year, spring, Red Rock West from a UK company called Plan B Entertainment, and they just announced a new version. The US, I think through Vinegar Syndrome's new partner label. They released they're going to release a new version of Red Rock West, but I still like this release. I think it's a solid release. It looks good. It has the original artwork, which I'm always obviously a fan of. It's got poster for with the original artwork on it too. I can unfold it, but you know what it looks like. It's got a booklet. It's got like it's got an essay on it. Good amount of special features. So of course I'm going to keep both. I did a pre-order the new one, but um from less cinematography. Um, but I have this one now too. I have both. Sony upgraded Groundhog Day, the classic comedy 30th anniversary, to 4K Steelbook. I'm a big fan of Groundhog Day. When I did my last episode of the Retro Movie List podcast, the very last episode, I discussed 1993 movies, and this made my top 10 list, of course, because I love Groundhog Day. And it has the same special features that were on the Blu-ray, like deleted scenes, audio commentary. Well, deleted scenes might be new to this. Needle Nose Ned's picture track, the study of groundhogs, a real life look at marmots, and Different Day, an interview with Harold Ramis, and the Weight of Time documentary. There's a list of special features. Yeah, so Groundhog Day, it's great. Young Guns was released on 4K from Lionsgate. Lionsgate surprises us once in a while with a 4K and of a classic catalog title. And Young Guns looks great on 4K. I mean, I'm a fan of Young Guns 1 and 2. And so it's nice to have this one upgraded. The shiny package. Yee, I'm a fan. The Doom generation made it to Blu-ray, thankfully, after all these years, in a new version, a complete version. I think the DVD and VHS release were heavily compromised, so now Greg Araki's full vision of the movie is available in this cut on Blu-ray with a bunch of special features, a new restoration, deleted scenes, commentary track, original trailer, and a new trailer, a new 4K trailer for this release. So it's great to see this movie, this queer classic, now on Blu-ray from Strand releasing. So yay. Screen Factory did a 4K upgrade of Slumber Party Massacre, and they included Slumber Party Massacre 2 in a double feature. So it's fun to have these two together. I like some embarrassing Madagascar 3. I have a Blu-ray of that somewhere. But I much prefer the first two. So it's nice just to have these two together as well. And see the special features. Um, it's a real drill. Okay, King Kong Lives. I'm probably the only person who put King Kong Lives in their honorable mentions for a Blu-ray release of the year, but that's how I roll. Umbrella Entertainment put out this special edition with commentary and interviews and a video essay on the director. So it's cool to see King Kong Lives get such treatment after all these years. Virtually forgotten about. So it's an Australian company, Umbrella Entertainment, put it out. Not, of course, released in the US, but I have it now. It's mine. King Kong Lives is mine. I actually enjoy this movie. Criterion put out Romeo and Juliet, the classic 60s take on the William Shakespeare tale. And here are special features. It's hard to see in red though. I'll read them out. Interviews with Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting from 1967 and 2016. Excerpts from the 2018 documentary, Frank Was It For Early, Directing from Life. An essay from the film, about the film. New digital restoration. Looks great. It's Romeo and Juliet from Criterion. Oh yeah, Death Wish movies. Love me some Death Wish movies. First one got an upgrade to 4K from Kino Lorber. Looks great. Just got quick commentary. And then 4 and 5, first time on released through Kino Lorber. First time on Blu-ray for 5. This one's got a nice slip cover. It looked great. The original artworks. I was a fan of that. Here we go. I'm a big fan of Death Wish 4. I like 5 too. I like all the Death Wish movies, honestly. Kind of a flawless. They're flawless. They have no issues at all. I love them in their own kooky ways. But 4 has it all. It has like video stores, it has arcades, it has like movie theaters, it has everything like in the 80s, like in one movie. And Paul Kersey kicking ass in the middle of all of it. Kino Lorber, here's a few of the Kino Lorbers. Serpico made it to 4K. Of course, I'm a fan of Serpico. The Sidney Lumet, Sal Pacino cop thriller, 15th anniversary of that. Yay. Marathon Man, another Dustin Hoffman movie. I think we, or no, maybe the first one, this one. But another, Laurence Olivier. It's a great cast, of course. John Schlesinger directed it. Looks great. It's got commentary. It's got all the stuff on the back. Excuse me. Looks great. Flashdance made it to 4K. There are two Adrian Lyne movies. Indecent Proposal and Flashdance made to 4K in 2023. So of course I picked up both. Adrian Lyne's movies are beautiful and all of them fully deserve to be on 4K. So glad to see them there. Double Jeopardy, the Ashley Judd thriller with Tommy Lee Jones. There's the original artwork. It's in there somewhere. It's fun to see that I get a deluxe release. Okay. Bruce Beresford is on there. Alternate ending, making of. Yeah, I'm a fan. It's a silly movie, but it's pretty fun, I gotta say. Upgrade was upgraded to 4K. The Lee Whannell sci-fi thriller. It's a lot of fun. It's great action sequences in it. So it's fun to see this get upgraded. Stack of, so that was Scream Factory. Now Scream Factory put out a bunch of Child's Play movies. They upgraded them 4K. So I'm just gonna go through them all. 2, 3, 4, Bride of Chucky. 5, Seed of Chucky. 6, Curse of Chucky. 7, Cult of Chucky. So yeah, this one has new, well, yeah, some new features on it. So it's cool. Part 2, like the first time part 2 is getting a deluxe release. It's nice. And then three certainly got upgraded to a lot of extra features and stuff. Uh, Bride of Chucky didn't get anything new, but it's upgraded to 4K. Seed of Chucky, pretty much the same. It's got a new master, but to carry over special features from a previous release. And then same thing pretty much for these two, but yeah, previous special features ported over, new transfer looks good. So, all the Chucky movies now available and they look good. Okay, Fargo from Shout Select. I'm a huge fan of Fargo, one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies, so I jumped at upgrading it to 4K. It looks great. The Dead Zone, also from Scream Factory, 4K. And I go one for it. I'm a big fan of the Dead Zone. My Demon Lover made its debut to Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Pretty silly horror comedy, more comedy than horror. Scott Valentine. It's got a good amount of special features for this little movie from New Line Cinema. And then from Grind, Severin Films, they put out these two deluxe releases in 4K. You got Nightmare, aka Nightmares and Damaged Brain. Got this deluxe release. This very disturbing slasher from the killer's point of view movie. It's quite a gruesome movie. Here it is in 4K in all its glory. It's something else. The most repulsive, offensive, degrading, gory, depraved, and horrifying movie ever made, says New York Daily News. And then, well, they gave it this Maniac 2 artwork for fun, really, but it's really the last horror film. The Joe Spinell kind of follow up to Maniac, and he's playing different characters, it's a different storyline, but Carol Monroe, it's fun. Sitcom. So it's fun to see this new crazy artwork. It's got a crazy booklet in it. Pretty hefty. It's a deluxe job by Seven Films. I had to go for that. Looks great. My stocks are getting pretty high. Okay, let's get closer to the end here of these. Honorable mentions. We still got a couple more stacks. The Blob. Scream Factory released The Blob. I'm a big fan of 1988's The Blob, one of the great remakes. Looks great. Again, just an upgrade from previous stuff, but original artwork intact. Looks great. So, oh, yeah, I got to show you that because I love that. That was the VHS cover, which I missed. It's been a while since I've seen that VHS cover. So it's fun that they released it. They put it there. Thank you for that detail, Screen Factory. Be nice if they did that more often. Um, okay. What's nice about the 4Ks from them is they do include the original art. They don't focus on doing new art for those, which is great. Um, Cujo got upgraded to 4K from King of Lorber Studio Classics. Great commentary by Lee Gambin again. It's got it's good interviews, making of. It's got a lot of stuff on it. It's really well done. Packaged by King of Lorber Studio Classics. 4K upgrade. So if you're a fan of Stephen King stuff, and there's quite a few ones that got upgraded this year. That's definitely one of the best ones that they released. Paramount put out Terms of Endearment on 4K. It's like this one kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit. I kind of forgot it was, didn't even realize it was out until after the release, like a few months after. But 40th anniversary, so I had to jump at getting this classic story, Oscar-winning tale of a mom and her daughter. Beautiful film, love it, big fan of it, and so it's great to have it on 4K from Paramount. And it's got filmmaker focus with James L. Brooks and some other features. Stephen King again, Scream Factory, upgrade. Yes, of course, Silver Bullet. Again, just upgraded from previously released special features, but it looks great in this new transfer. The original art is always great to see. And yeah, so love me some Silver Bullets. Very juicy. All right, so I was kind of surprised this was a pretty fun release by Shout Select doing the Police Academy movies, which they had a Blu-ray release in the UK, but not in the US. But they had a lot of new special features on these. Unfortunately, not along with the cast, the original cast members, but some of them departed sadly. But there's a good amount of special features, and they look great. And it's the Police Academy movies, which strangely are a lot of fun for me. They hold up fairly well for me. Just the last one is a terrible movie, but really, I enjoy these movies for the most part. So all seven of them are here. Just looking at it makes me think of the theme song. Dun, 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 dun. The Monster Squad. Of course, I had to upgrade that to 4K this is like Kino Lorber Studio Classics. Um, so it has the Wolfman's Got Nards, the full documentary that Andre Gower did. It's got a documentary. It's got interviews, commentary. It's got a bunch of things. They poured over from previous releases as well. So yeah, everything you wanted for the Monster Squad is here, and the original artwork, along with a commissioned artwork, which is very similar to the original artwork, which is great. A nice tribute to this classic 1987 family horror movie. Fred Decker's having a lot of fun with that one. The fur upgraded to 4K. Tom Cruise, um, probably the best John Grisham adaptation. Such a fun movie. So for the 4K. Unearth did that, they do focus on a lot of extreme movies, but every once in a while they'll put out something that's not as extreme, and it ends up being a movie like Full Body Massage. Nicholas Roeg's Full Body Massage getting a Blu-ray. And I like this movie. It was a cable movie. And it's like basically a two-hander, Mimi Rogers and Brian Brown kind of just chatting it up for the entire movie, but him giving her a massage, a full body massage while doing so. So yes, lots of drama bubbles to the surface and tensions and boobs. So yeah, I like that one. Kino Lorber put out Valmont, and I've always liked Valmont, this adaptation of Dangerous Liaisons. Let's say Dangerous Liaisons. I'm not going to do the French title, but yeah, it was that time when the two versions of that story came out, like almost like back to back, and the competing ones. This is the Milos Forman version. It's a good film. They're both the Stephen Frears and the Milos Forman ones are both good movies in their own way, and they both have really good, great casts. So it's a win-win. You just, don't like pick one over the other. You get both. You enjoy both. Glenn Close was, of course, in the other one so memorably with John Malkovich here, Colin Firth, Annette Bening, Meg Tilly, Rosa Balk, Jeffrey Jones, Henry Thomas. So solid cast. Milos Forman directing. So, it's got to be a good film. And nice to see them put it out. I feel like that one's a little bit going under the radar these days, because maybe it's not as fashionable, that kind of story, but I don't know. I like it a lot. Targets. Criterion put out Targets. Peter Bogdanovich. The more Peter Bogdanovich on Blu-ray, the better. So thankfully, thankfully, this is the case, and we're going to get to another Peter Bogdanovich movie on Blu-ray soon. But I wanted to highlight Targets first before we got there. Okay. Chris Vinegar Syndrome put out The Boogeyman on Blu-ray. Here's the original artwork, which is cool, actually. Glass mirrors play a big part in this movie. 4K. Here's all the special features. There's a bunch. I like this kooky movie. Derivative of Halloween at first, but then it goes off in its own crazy tangent. Boogeyman is a blast. Uli Lommel. Thank you for putting that out. Vinegar Syndrome. Lorber put out The Package by Andrew Davis. So I'll blank out his name for a second. Starring Gene Hackman, solid actioner thriller. I've always been a fan of this one. Joanna Cassidy, and of course Tommy Lee Jones is in it. And Milk Creek, I don't think this is the only maybe the only Milk Creek title. I just like to, highlight these sometimes once in a while, these VHS packaging, things that they do, which is fun. Fear is a 90s thriller, so of course I jumped on it. So it's nice to get Fear, even though it's like a featureless Blu-ray, but it's cheap. It's got this cover, it makes it look like a VHS tape, which is fun. And it's Fear. It's a lot of fun. Fun, fun, fun. All right, here's another stack here. From Scream Factory, The Burning 4K. It's an upgrade, new transfer. I love me a summer camp slasher, and of course, The Burning fulfills that and then some. The Italian Job got a 4K from Kino Lorber. Kino Lorber has quite a few. Um, so yeah, about the features. I'm a fan of this fun heist movie. Car chase. The car chase scene, of course, famous. Burt, there's a Burt stack here. Burt on blue. Let's go through them all. Hustle, Malone, Heat, and The Longest Yard, of course, the classic of the four on 4K. So upgraded to 4K. It's got good features here. And thankfully for YouTube, I don't have to just look at it. On a podcast, I would have to say everything. But here you can just look at the screen. Yeah, I'm a Burt fan, of course. Who isn't a Burt Reynolds fan? And he made a lot of fun movies. And The Longest Yard is a great prison sports movie, drama, comedy. It's like got it all. Hustle, Robert Aldrich also directed this, as well as Longest Yard. There's a commentary on this one. Catherine Deneuve, and Burt, shirt open, trademark, right? Uh Malone is pretty silly. They made a new artwork for it. I don't know. I kind of miss the cheesy artwork. It was on the VHS with his toupee. It looked like it was flying off. But him holding a gun. So I kind of wish that was here some way, but here it is, Malone. It's pretty silly. It's not one of his best, but it's fun for what it is. And Heat. Look at that classic Burt. The gun. Does he have a gun? No. I always thought he had a gun in this one. Uh yeah. Bird looking cool. This one's got a commentary. As does Malone. All right. One of my favorite 2023 releases, You Hurt My Feelings, came out on Blu-ray. Nicole Holofcener's latest film set in New York about a married couple and misunderstandings or just like hurt feelings, of course, about things we say do we say to each other, things we don't say to each other, the things we overhear being said about each other. It's a pretty perceptive movie about middle age and getting older. And of course, Nicole Holofcener's trademark wit and comedy is on full display here. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Great film. Commentary and just like a making of. So, it's short and sweet. The commentary is pretty great. I love Nicole Holofcener's films. Craven. Another Craven. I'm Craven. People understand on 4K. It's like they knew, and it's now on 4K. I upgraded that one, of course. I upgraded also Cliffhanger. Sony put out Cliffhanger 30th anniversary, and I jumped on that. I introduced it to my son this year, or well, now 2023, last year I could say. And he, it was a really fun night because Cliffhanger is pretty damn fun. One of the better action movies of the 90s. Kino Lorber also put another really fun actioner, Stone Cold, with the That's right, Brian Bosworth, undercover. 91 was a big year for this kind of movie. Stone Cold and Point Break. Going undercover, too undercover. You get really caught up in it, right? The biker world. It's pretty fun. I love that they did this and all these special features, all these interviews, and um, it's pretty great. Look at that. They got the bars in there. It's got Lance Harrington. It's so much fun. Umbrella also put out Twisted Nerve on Blu-ray. Had to jump on that. And the special features back. And then I haven't mentioned imprint films, but they put out Georgia on Blu-ray with, of course, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Mare Winningham. I love Georgia. There's the original artwork too. So I didn't get a lot of imprint films in 2023. Um, Hopefully in 2024 there'll be more. But yeah, it has a interview with John Doe. It's got archival interviews with Jennifer Jason Leigh, Mare Winningham, John Doe, and the writer Barbara Turner. Yeah, so it looks great, sounds great. It is great because Jennifer Jason Leigh giving a kick-ass performance as John Doe. And Scream Factory released The Haunting of Julia. There are like several companies who put out a version. I went for the 4K from Scream Factory. Okay, that's a creepy movie. So here we are. I think we're at the point where I'm going to do like a top 20. See if I can get all these closer to me. Bear with me. All right, sorry. Sort of a top. It's like a no order, no real order. Okay. Oh yeah, another one. When I was kind of on the bubble. Blue Steel. That Vestron, of course, put out Catherine Bigelow's cop thriller from 1990 with Jennifer just like Jamie Lee Curtis, Ron Silver. It's a great cop movie, great thriller. So happy it's on Blu-ray from Vestron. It was also on imprint Blu-ray as well. Commentary. It's got good amount of special features. Look on the back. Of course, Catherine Bigelow makes a great movie. The video essay by my pal Chris O'Neill's on here. So worth having. So I'm just gonna go through these. Um, no real order, I would say. It's just kind of like things that I consider the top, my top picks really of the year. Um, let's see. Do. I'll go something like The Experts. Why I picked The Experts as my top picks, because it's fairly obscure comedy now, right? John Travolta being pretty silly, late 80s, when he was considered as, his career was kind of like in the, doldrums, although he was about to do Look Who's Talking, which was a hit, but then kind of hit the skids again after that. Um, I don't know. It has a lot of charm to it. It's funny. It's very it's not like it's not a movie that people are gonna pretend it's a classic comedy, but I think it has a lot of charm and wit to it too, as well. So it was nice to see that Kino Lorber plucked it pretty much out of obscurity now. It just had a VHS release, and so I jumped on it, and it looks great. It's a fun movie. I think I watch it with my son, who's into like communism, like he's into like that era of like the 50s, of Cold War era, and just like he likes history, and he thought that was a fun mix of that with the 80s, of course, very 80s movie dance sequence. So a lot of dancing, a lot of John Travolta dancing, of course, and that's what you want. So I had to put that there because it just felt like um, some of those 80s comedies get lost in the shuffle. Certainly a lot of the teen movies do. because they're not genre movies, and genre movies tend definitely get like, get healthy homes like Vinegar Syndrome and Severin and Grindhouse, all those companies that dedicate themselves to genre films. But there's not a lot of companies that will, pluck a comedy, like an obscure comedy out of, and just revitalize it some way when they give it like a slipcover and all that stuff. So it's thankfully Kino Lorber did that, and I look forward to more movies like that, just kind of like popping up and like surprising me. Oh wow. Um, okay. So what will I go for here in my pans? Oh yeah, well, let's just say Vinegar Syndrome again. Um, they did this major release. Looks like I could maybe put this down for a second because it's pretty heavy. Stay. Don't, don't, don't run away from me there. Pardon me. Showgirls. There it is. The classic Showgirls. So one of their major deluxe releases. The fancy packaging. Do you feel dirty holding this? Another. How many booklets do I have? I guess I got two somehow. Anyway, I don't know how that ended up happening, but it's got the original artwork. It's got this artwork. It's got saucy artwork. It's got a lot of stuff on it. It's got 3 discs. It's 4K. It's Blu-ray. It's got everything you want. Showgirls. But we're afraid to ask. I'm a big fan of. I think all Paul Verhoeven's movies deserve this deluxe treatment. Honestly, um, Showgirls has become a cult film. It's like it was notorious for a lot of people as a bad movie, like so good it's bad movie. I don't know whatever they call those kinds of things. I don't believe in that term. I don't think it's kind of silly, but I think it's a great movie. And one of my favorite movies of the 90s, a satire about American culture by a foreigner, and I think it's brilliant. And that's been accepted by a good amount of people as it just being that and not just like a notorious bad movie, which is thankful that perceptive people out there can enjoy it for that, because it is a great look at American culture and the excess of it, and certainly in the 90s. So glad it's on that deluxe release. Night of the Comet, one of my favorite movies of all time, got a 4K upgrade from Scream Factory. There it is. Pretty much all the same features from before, now upgraded to 4K and Blu-ray. The original artwork, which is great there for us to enjoy. Always love Night of the Comet. I watched it for family movie night this year, or 2023, last year with my kids, and they loved it. My daughter really appreciated that it was so female centric, that it was about these two girls who really kick ass, and yeah, it's ahead of its time. It's now 40 years old this year, and it looks great. They'll remake it probably, and I think they heard somebody was working on a remake, but I think it's just fresh it was 40 years ago. It's so good. Vinegar Syndrome, through one of their partner labels, the Canadian International Pictures, put out this crazy movie, The Christmas Martian. I put this in my top picks because it's, plucked out of obscurity for me, that's for sure. Um, I did not know this movie, and I watched it with my family, my kids and my wife, and we thought it was pretty bonkers, which it is. It's basically two kids meet a friendly alien-ish kind of thing, like May way before ET came out. This was like an early 70s movie. Mm. And a series of wacky adventures. Very Canadian. It's very French Canadians. So the dubbing, I recommend. There's a subtitle track and there's a dub track. I recommend the dub track because the dubbing is insane in some scenes. Really worth it. It's pretty out there. It's like 65 minutes. It's really short. Um, Goes by pretty quick. I love a movie like that sometimes. And this is a ton of fun. Peter Bogdanovich's The Last Picture Show came out as a Criterion. Um, Worth, it was already a Criterion already in the box set, but they also put out the sequel, Texasville, the follow-up. And not only is it Texasville, but also Texasville, the black and white version, which I had not seen before. No one had really seen before. And booklet. So it's got both those films. It's got the multiple versions of that movie. It's got extra features, a lot of extra features, 4K. It's, of course, The Last Picture Show, which is, one of the great movies of the new American cinema, 70s. But Texasville, which will have a reappraisal because of this new version, which really gives it a new facelift, of course, with the black and white version. And um, being them paired together, you could really see the continuity and the epic story that Peter Bogdanovich is trying to tell about this family and these people in America over this span of time, which is pretty great. Um, Stephen King horror, there were quite a few that I mentioned. I wanted to point out, I had to have one of my top picks. So I went for Needful Things 4K. Why I did that is because it has the original theatrical cut in 4K, but as a Blu-ray, it has the television cut, the 191-minute cut of the movie, which I watched when it aired on like TNT or TBS, one of those two, back in the 90s, like mid 90s, mid to the 90s somewhere. And it adds a lot to the movie, a lot of storyline, a lot of things like in the book that were cut to make it a tighter movie, like a 2 hour movie. So it went from 3 hours to 2 hours. But it's so fun to see that extra hour again integrated into this film. And so really thankful that Kino Lorber acquired the footage and integrated it into the film and a version on here. So you got the two versions and Evil Things finally, finally complete. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for that. Kino Lorber also did one of my favorite musicals, 80s musicals, the sequel to Staying Alive, the sequel to Friday 13th. What am I saying? Saturday Night Fever. Did I drink too much? Possibly. My Yes, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive. So I got two John Travolta movies mentioned in this top picks. Look at that sweaty headband glory. And look at that. And yes, both this and Showgirls have a lot in common. Certainly misunderstood movies, I think. I think this is a pretty great sequel. To me, it holds up well. Definitely a movie of its time. Don't take points away from a movie because it's showing its 80s-ness or whatever. It's about Tony Manero, like the next step for Tony Manero. What's life for him outside of Brooklyn? It's trying to make it on Broadway. It's a lot of fun, I gotta say. Um, so I don't know how many lists this is gonna make, but I was quite surprised this movie made it to Blu-ray. It was a VHS only release before. Um, Very strong independent film that came out in the 90s, early 90s, called Just Another Girl on the IRT, directed by Leslie Harris. And Paramount, thankfully, put it out. Here's the original, or it's a new art, which is fun, actually. Gives it it's definitely a vibe. And the original artwork here, which is, good too. I always liked this movie. I thought it was a pretty great coming of age teen movie about a girl who's feels a bit trapped in her existence um, as a teenager, growing up poor, and kind of wanting to make something out of herself and wanting to get to the next step, but then finding it impossible when she finds out she's pregnant. Yeah, so this movie kind of traces that and her friendships and her just trying to get to the next step. And it's pretty great. It hits all these highs and lows of being a teenager, being a young person in New York City at the time. And commentary is a great commentary by Director Leslie Harris, and then she has a little featurette about her on the film. So yeah, a really special movie. Thankfully, Paramount decided to put it out for its 30th anniversary. So it's pretty great. Thank you, Paramount, for doing that. They deserve that credit. Another 2023 release that I really loved. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Of course, the adaptation of the Judy Blume story, the famous, infamous Judy Blume story, come to life with Rachel McAdams as the mom, Kathy Bates as the grandmother, and newcomer Abby Ryder Fortson as Margaret. Coming of age story, of course, and it really just like hit all the right notes for me. And this movie, directed by, of course, Kelly Fremon Craig, who did Edge of 17, which was really a wonderful movie, does that, just capture the book really well and becomes its own thing as well as a movie. So Lionsgate put out this Blu-ray. It has some special features. Um, there you go. You can take a look at those. I just think that these kinds of movies have fallen out of fashion a bit. So it was nice to see this come out at a time when big spectacle movies were coming out. Got maybe lost in the shuffle because of that. Didn't do as well as they had hoped. But I think it will find its audience on Blu-ray and streaming, and people will appreciate it for being going up against the tide of movies, um, telling more small personal stories, which I think we need to do on mainstream filmmaking as well as independent films or these smaller films that kind of get lost. You need to have intimate storytelling, intimate stories about women, men, all kinds of people, and it was nice to see this movie. I took my kids to go see it. They also really appreciated it, really liked it. So I'm glad it's on Blu-ray. It didn't get forgotten about. Um, so Second Sight does these nice deluxe editions, and a movie that was only available on VHS finally got a Blu-ray release. That was from Second Sight, and that's May, the Lucky McKee film, which I really am a big fan of. And they got this great release with this deluxe packaging and lobby card or these cards, these beautiful cards, and a big booklet, huge eye on it. A lot in there. So it's a lot here. I don't see the original art, but so it has everything but that. But it's got a lot of stuff on it. It's got a lot of special features. I'll show you what those are. Of course, Angela Bettis doing a great job as May, and just really inhabiting this character and just making her sympathetic, even if she shouldn't be, ultimately at the end. But I think the movie does a wise job at doing that. It's akin to Carrie in that regard, about this kind of wallflowerish character who kind of has to navigate some pretty dark things. And I think May is a pretty special movie and came out in the 2000s when movies were starting to become like Hostel and Saw, and so it was right before that happened, and it was nice to have this more female perspective horror movie, and I think it just really hits the right notes for that. And it has, it homages a lot of other horror movies and like tributes to like Argento and um some great things like that. And I think it's just, definitely one of the best horror movies that came out of the 2000s for sure. So I'm thankful that Second Sight um has rescued it, and hopefully newer audiences will discover this movie. Certainly one of my favorites, May. And then another British company, this one, Eureka Films, put out one of my favorite movies for its 40th anniversary, Valley Girl. as a deluxe edition. I know there was a deluxe edition from Shout Factory in the US, but I'm a sucker for Valley Girl. I'll get anything Valley Girl. This is a nice deluxe packaging, as you can tell. Sturdy box. It's got a big booklet. It's got the original art. It's got a bunch of special features. It's Martha Coolidge's classic teen comedy romance. Nicolas Cage, Deborah Foreman, and what's not to love about Valley Girl? I one of my 10 favorite movies of all time. So um I can't say enough about it. I've talked about it enough when I was doing a podcast, and I just love it so much. And it's fun. It's fun new artwork actually on the outside is actually really nice and captures the movie in a nice special way, I think. Um Illustrating both their worlds in a fun way, clever way. Okay, so I'm gonna here's the remainder stack, and I'll leave the last batch for okay. To Live and Die in LA, William Friedkin. We lost William Friedkin 2023, but we gained a 4K of his classic 1985 action cop thriller, and had a lot of special features on it. It's got a 4K release. Um, Take a look at that. I think it's mostly stuff that's been available before, but it's so great to have this movie on 4K. It looks great. It sounds great. It's, William Friedkin returning to the cop thriller and chase movie, car chases. It's so well done. I mean, it's been talked about a lot, and I certainly had to put it in my top list because it's To Live and Die in LA. Love it so much. Willem Dafoe, William Peterson, um, great cat and mouse chase thriller, and what a yeah, the dark places it goes to. It's a bold movie for its time. It really stands out. Um, let's see. Okay, so Universal put out a 4K of a movie that I really enjoy, a sequel that I really enjoy, and that, of course, is Jaws 2. It's for its 45th anniversary last year. So I could not, I can't not mention Jaws 2. I mean, it's such a fun sequel. Um, I really want a 4K of 3 and 4 as well, especially 4. I love 4. It's bonkers. But Jaws 2 making its 4K debut in 2023. So of course I have to not can't not mention Jaws 2. Such a fun sequel. Okay. Criterion put out a classic film, Ridley Scott film that looks great on Blu-ray and 4K, and the packaging is great, and the movie's held up really well over the years, and that is Thelma and Louise. Did a beautiful job with the cover. It's a lot to this one. It's got a lot of extra features. It's Thelma and Louise, which deserves its place in film history, feminist film history, and so well done by everyone involved. Of course, Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis, and Ridley Scott's direction, and Kelly Corey's writing, and yeah, it just comes together so well in this film. Big fan, so I had to mention it. Wings of Desire, 4K, upgraded as beautiful Wim Wenders film. Got a 4K release. I just didn't want to forget this one was released, so I released it here, or mentioning it here. Special features. I think a lot of the features that were on the Blu-ray, previous Blu-ray, are poured over, but it looks beautiful. I mean, it's such a beautiful film, so well made by Wim Wenders that I have to mention it. Can't not mention Wings of Desire. It's so beautiful. And then, okay, MBD put out one of my favorite teen comedies, Last American Virgin, on Blu-ray in this VHS style packaging, which is fun, giving you the vibe of the VHS days, of the big box MGM VHS days. Hmm. So featured that were on a Arrow UK disc. Excuse me, Arrow UK disc. Chewing on some ice. That's always great for podcast or video. I just love it. Are ported over here, which is great. So it's got some good features. It looks great, sounds great. It's got a great soundtrack, of course. MVD doing their VHS style release and beautifully having a mini poster, which is always fun. I have the original theatrical poster, but now I have this mini poster for the Last American Version. I feel like I need to hang this up in here somewhere in Meep's video here. I will do that because it's fun artwork. I love the Last American Version so much. Fighting Back. So I wanted to highlight a movie like this because it's fairly obscure because it only had a VHS release. It's a Paramount film, but it was a kind of a Dino De Laurentiis's try to duplicate his Death Wish success as a producer with this movie with Tom Skerritt basically doing his like vigilante thing. Um, there's the original artwork. Much better than that. Arrow's artwork's always a little questionable, like their new artworks. So like I'm not sure like what is that supposed to be, but I like this, the more drawn artwork of the original. And it has a poster, it has booklet, it has a bunch of special features. There you go. Um, Louis Teague directed it, the guy who did Alligator and um a lot of fun movies. Cat's Eye. He's a really fun filmmaker and very gritty movie about crime in Philadelphia in the 80s, in the early 80s. And a man who's had enough. Enough is enough. He's going to handle it himself. And he forms like this vigilante group, neighborhood watch type situation, which was a real thing back in the 80s. They did that in like places like New York and big cities like that in Philadelphia. And yeah, take the law in their own hands, right? Of course, that always works out. Not really. Messiah of Evil came out from Radiance, a new company. So there was a more deluxe version. I didn't spring for that, but I got this version of it. That's more simplified packaging version of it because it's pretty much the same features as the booklet. So there you get a better look at the artwork. Um, bunch of special features. Messiah of Evil is a really creepy, very atmospheric, it's the early 70s horror movie. Very moody, right? Mood piece, as horror movies were back then. Um, this one certainly was that, and it just really sticks, kind of movie that sticks with you, and it was influential in a lot of other horror movies that came out later in years. But um, Messiah of Evil's and this beautiful transfer really is the way to go because it's a new 4K scan of the best surviving elements of the film from the Academy Film Archive. So this movie was like available on bootlegs for like bootleg quality things for a long time. So having it in this beautiful transfer is really the way to go. Beautiful movie too, in a different way. Point Break, Catherine Bigelow's actioner. So I mentioned Point Break earlier, for 91 with Stone Cold, but the 4K came out from Shout Select. A huge fan of Point Break. I mean, who isn't? It's a great movie. I mean, it's not even the special features. It's just basically the new scan of the interpositive. And then the old features, but it's nice to have it in 4K and this great actioner cop movie So much fun. Plan to rewatch it this year with my son. And then finally on 4K, one of my favorite movies from the 80s got a 4K and Blu-ray release and certainly deserved it. I don't know what the holdup was, but finally it's here. And that is After Hours, the Martin Scorsese film. Mean Streets and of course After Hours got finally released on Blu-ray and 4K. And they look great. This one looks great. It has a lot of special features on it. It has a new conversation between Scorsese and writer Fran Lebowitz. It's got audio commentary. It's got documentary about the film, new program on the look of the film featuring costume designer and production designer, deleted scenes, trailer. It's got a bunch of things, an essay. So everything you'd want for great. This book looks great. For After Hours, the thing you were hoping would happen when a release of After Hours is finally here. The only thing I'm disappointed is there's no original artwork here. I love the artwork with the his head kind of being turned at the watch clock thing. And it's not here, but they have a new interpretation of the 80s again, where it's like pink and green, the neon colors, but there's a good amount of neon on the film, so I get that. So After Hours is great and truly one of the best films of the 80s for me. So I'm so happy that it got a release. Now, my last pick is really a cheat because it's not one movie, but it's a series of movies from a one label. Now, this label, Fun City Editions, has been doing great work. All their releases so far have been pretty spectacular. Labor of Love feeling from Jonathan Hertzberg and so I wanted to highlight his work here because I feel like it deserves to be talked about more and put up on a pedestal with a lot of the likes of these other big labels we're talking about today. And so, what is essentially like a one-man operation, who puts a lot of time into these efforts into making releases and not about quantity, but about quality, about putting out movies that he feels the deserve this a second look, deserve to be seen again after not hadn't been seen maybe in a long time because for lack of releases, for lack of a home video release or presence, online presence, and so he's putting these movies back into the highlight. So it's a series of like I have like 5 releases here, and so I'm just gonna start with the first one. That's a collection, his second collection of Primetime Panic titles with Primetime Panic 2. So it's 3 TV movies that have pretty much time is forgotten about for the most part. Death of Richie, The Internet Crest, and The Seduction of Gina. I watched all 3 as soon as this release came out. And I had seen some of these before. Actually, I've seen 2 or 3 of these before. And I thought they were excellent. I mean, I thought they were really good at absorbing films. These are not like light films. These are pretty heavy, absorbing TV movies. And I know TV is often accused of being kind of like frivolous or whatever, but I think these are great and certainly worth the effort that was put into this release and all the essays and artworks that they've put in here. It looks really great. Let's pull out this so you can see it. So it's like nice essay. It's got you can see the TV guide kind of listings in here. Um, it's got a bunch of special features, mostly commentaries and stuff, but people like Amanda Reyes and others have, you know, talk about these films and just kind of lend their point of view about 80s, 70s and 80s TV and what it was happening at the time. My pal Dino Prosperario, uh, Prosperio. Oh my God, my pal Dino. Sorry, Dino, for butchering your name, but and Jonathan Hertzberg appear on the Incident Presser as a commentary, and they did a great job at discussing this really interesting film and that I hadn't seen before, and so it was great watching the film and then listening to the commentary. This is Dr. Gina. It's my favorite of the three, I think. I think it really kind of like drew me in, and um, Valerie Bertinelli's performance was really good and likable, and you kind of see where she's coming from. And The Death of Richie is a really heavy movie, and but really absorbing too. It's a lot, but these three are pretty great. So thankful for them for doing that. Early in the year, Breathless, the Richard Gere, Jim McBride film, got this deluxe release from them. Beautiful packaging, of course, as they do. Their packaging is flawless. The original artwork is in there. So it's got like special features you've seen before, except for a new filmed video interview with Jim McBride, an introduction by him. It's got deleted scenes, it's got alternate ending. Um, so it looks great. It's actually there are more features than I thought there were on this one, which is great. It looks great, it sounds great, it's breathless. It's got look at that. I've always been a huge fan of this movie. So for its 40th anniversary, they really went all there out of their way for this one, which is amazing. And I hope you picked up Breathless because to me it's a far superior movie to the Godard film. Controversial, but that's my point of view. I really love it. Okay, so The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz was one of their more recent titles. It's a movie with Richard Dreyfuss from the early 70s, Canadian film about Montreal, young man in Montreal. It's got a commentary, it's got a new 4K restoration, it's got a booklet. Again, has like this great artwork and packaging. So I had seen this movie before, but it had been a long time, and I just like seeing it again, this new edition. It's kind of really woken me up to like how special the movie is, and I'm thankful for Fun City Editions to doing that. And I think it's certainly worth your time. And seeing Richard Dreyfuss like early in his career, kind of like feeling fully formed, like you're like the Richard Dreyfuss to come, like in the 80s and 90s, is kind of there, pretty early in his career, which is great. And then two final releases. T.R. Baskin, which I hadn't seen before, so which was nice to have a movie that was fresh for me. There's the Paramount art. So giving it a retro vibe, which Jonathan is great at doing. Um, Trying to pay tribute to the original artworks and formats the movie was on, like this one VHS, having a alternate artwork on the side, on the other side of it, booklet, and just in general looking pretty great. So this movie, it has a 4K restoration from the 35 camera negative. Get in the Tent, a newly filmed video interview with writer producer Peter Hyams, newly recorded audio commentary by Ben Reiser, Scott Lucas of the 70 movies we saw in the 70s podcast, which is a pretty great podcast, and a booklet and an essay. So yeah, Peter Hyams wrote this film, produced it. Herbert Ross directed it. It's pretty special. I mean, Candice Bergen is pretty great in it, and I really like it. Chicago movie. That artwork is really nice, pleasant. And I was kind of like really caught up in it. And movies from the 70s, man, can really just, I don't know, they feel special. This one's early 70s. This movies that could have be about a woman just kind of like moving to a big city and just like how life throws at her kind of thing. Not just like by anything super big, but big to her. I love those kinds of stories. And um those are few and far between. Another movie about a woman in a city. So definitely a year for them for doing these two extraordinary women in the city movies. My favorite of their releases, Party Girl came out. That's of course Parker Posey as the party girl in question. And vibrant film, Parker Posey giving a, yeah, proving she was the queen of 80s, no, rather 90s independent cinema here. Full force Parker Posey, for those who are hungry for Parker Posey, and certainly not enough movies these days, and needs more of her. You can definitely get your fill with Parker Posey in Party Girl. And um so it's got the 4K restoration from the 16 millimeter camera negative, designing a character, newly filmed interview with the director, Daisy von Scherler-Meyer, like an old movie, a newly filmed interview with star Parker Posey. DJing to Picture, newly filmed video interview with music supervisor Bill Coleman. Power to the Librarians, a newly filmed video interview with co-writer and co-producer Harry Brickmayer. Image Gallery, theatrical trailer, newly recorded audio commentary by Jake Fogelnest. Booklet with new essay by DJ and writer Margaret Barton Fumo. So pretty stacked. Um, it's got a fun booklet in there. Um, it's a fun party. I feel the party vibe, don't you? With this movie, I do. I love it. It's brings joy. It captures New York in all its fun glory. And yeah, it's a party girl. Thank you so much, Fun City Editions, and all those who contribute to those editions, making them special, making all their releases special. And I'm so happy and that they're doing well enough to continue releases. And I'm happy and looking forward to whatever comes next in 2024 and whatever comes to next in all these releases. All these companies releasing movies. Thankfully, physical media is still holding its own. There are people out there who care about it still. Thankful for that. When we're in an era where like companies like Best Buy have decided to not carry movies anymore, not even online, which seems kind of insane when clearly movies are doing well enough. For some companies, like Amazon is selling a lot of movies, and these labels are selling movies on Amazon um and through their own websites. And so that's best. I do try to encourage that. So always try to get like Fun City editions. I get their releases through them directly, and it always feels more special that way, supporting a local business like that. And or smaller business like that. And but yeah, but it's nice that um, even though we can't physically go to stores as much anymore, that there are companies that are doing this and having this business that you could buy these movies fairly easily online, and that there are enough people out there who care for this to be a lucrative enough business for people to, and I think it's not so much for a lot of these companies the money. I think a lot of like certainly a company like Fun City Editions, I think it's the passion involved, it's the care put into it to for people to see these movies, and because they care enough about these films, and that makes it special. So all these companies, hopefully they here's to a good year in 2024 for them, and whatever new labels pop up. And hopefully that's the case. And hopefully, I have looking at huge stacks of VHS. I have like two bookshelves worth of of VHS over there on that side of the room, and so there's a lot of movies that are just kind of sitting in obscurity, that could be upgraded. Hopefully, they can find film elements for them, um, and some other things that need to be upgraded from DVD. Certainly. So there's no shortage of movies to release. So hopefully that these releases keep coming. But I'm also thankful for all the great things and so many great things that came out in 2023. So it was a great year for physical media. I have a lot to watch, no shortage of that. For me, it's not just talking about the movies, not just about the packaging or the special features, but for the movies themselves. I enjoy just watching them and appreciating them, reappraising some things, or just like, oh wow, that movie just holds up as well as I remembered. It's always fun to see that too. So I'm thankful for all those things, and I'm thankful for you guys for listening to this and watching this rather on YouTube. And here's to a great 2024 of physical media. Keep supporting it and keep your love for these movies alive. Thank you guys. Take care.